Hello, teachers. This is the instruction guide for Primary 3, Term 3, Week 9. For this week, we're going to just stick to two booklets, and the idea of doing two booklets is so that students can make use of the extra time to work on their previous corrections. I also understand that some of the Primary 3 classes did not manage to get to the word problems, right? So they can actually make use of the time, extra time, right, to go through, for you to go through some of the word problems from last week's session, right? So I leave it up to you, either do corrections or word problems. Yeah, right. So for this two topics, right, the first one is on telling time past the hour. And then the second one is on conversion, quite straightforward. So let's start off with the first segment in which they're supposed to tell time past the hour. So the use of the words after, right, or past, right? So here, you can actually show them a clock, and I'll provide the link later on, which is the one that we use for P2 earlier this year. You can use that to teach, right, in terms of how you calculate or how you count like the time past the hour, right? Or you can just use this to illustrate. So here you can see the hour hand is pointing at 7 and, well, that after 7, right? So the time is, and then to read this is 7:12. So what students can do is they can either call it 7:12, but in this case, they need to know how to use past as well. So it can be 12 minutes past 7, right? Or 12 minutes after 7 o'clock, right? So different phrasing. And then we move on to before, right? So before goes with to as well, right? So the way of reading it is if you just read the time exactly it is 4:53. Okay. And if we want to read it as to the hour, all right, so you can take 60 minus 53, that would give you 7. So you can see it as 7 minutes to 5, right? Why is it 7 minutes to 5 o'clock? It is not past 5 o'clock yet, right? So tell them, right? It's 7 minutes to reach 5 o'clock, right? So you might want to phrase it in a way so that students can remember. 7 minutes to reaching 5 o'clock. Or you can call it 7 minutes before 5 o'clock, right? 7 minutes before 5 o'clock happens. Okay, so a few ways to do it, either 7 minutes before 5 o'clock or 7 minutes to 5. And then do the guided practice with them. This is actually just to give them a sense of time, right? So have some fun. No need to take it too seriously. Time yourself, or rather time the students. Do a 1 minute count, and then see how many squares that they can circle. You can actually use the digital analog clock that I'm going to share with you, the link. You can use that to do a timer as well, right? So that they are supposed to draw. Essentially, one of these squares would take 1 second to draw, right? If they do it very, very quickly, one, right? So one of the squares. So it would take approximately, on average, I think they would do 50 to 60 squares. Get them to do the guided practice as well, right? Let them be familiar with the term after and past, and also before and to. Okay, so make use of this time to correct the understanding if you're not too sure. And then you can make use of, they can do, depending on the class progress, if you find that they are still unsure, okay, you can get them to do a few of the questions from the independent practice. Okay. If not, we will just fast forward all the way to, let's see. Yeah, in fact, all these are past and to, right? So just perhaps one question from each segment, all right, you can get them to do, okay? So I would suggest maybe go to page 15, right, where there's a bit of a word problem question here. You notice page 15, okay? One of the things that you need to remind students is to tell them to read the instructions. Here it says tell the time using past or to. So they have to do that, right? Because we don't want students to, for example, this question, they write it as 1:53, then it'll be wrong, okay? So they have to pay attention to instructions. It's either using past or to, right? 7 minutes to. So get them to one question of 5 minutes past 6. Sorry, where was I? Okay, 5 minutes past 10, and then another question, maybe 15 minutes to 6, so 1 past and 1 to. Okay. And the rest are actually more, about practices. Okay, so next one, you can go to page 23. Okay, get them to draw the missing minute hand. Just 2 questions to do. Right? 2 questions here, and then maybe, you test them by what if this is something like that, 23 minutes to 12, where did they draw it? Okay. And then I think we can move on to the next question, right? Sorry, next booklet. Okay, next booklet has got to do with conversion. Okay, so you can see the instructions here, right? Check that students know the multiplication tables of 6 well before you start on this, because you'll be relying a lot on the multiples of 6. Okay, give them a sense of how long an hour is. So a movie typically is about 2 hours long, and an hour is equal to 60 minutes. So 1 hour equals 60 minutes, 2 hours equals 120 minutes, right? Always give them the kind of a real life example so that they can, so-called understand how it's applied, right, in their day-to-day life. Okay, so for this question here, train from town A took 3 hours 35 minutes to reach town B. Okay, how long was the train journey? So they need to split up, right? 3 hours 35 minutes into 3 hours into convert it into minutes first, right? And then minutes will be minute itself. I think they have done a bit of this in P2 as well, right? So quite similar. And then they add together 250 minutes. All right. What about converting minutes to hours and minutes? Okay, so here what they can do is 78 minutes. They got split up into multiples of 60 minutes. So here 78, you have 60. They may actually list it out as well to help them out. So 60 equals 1 hour, 120 equals 2 hours, right? 180 equals 3 hours. So that's easier for them to split, right? Or you might want to draw on the board and get them to do the same thing as well. This is to help them. So after that, they can convert, right? 60 minutes into 1 hour. If let's say it's 120 minutes, then it's converting into 2 hours. Get them to do a guided practice, right? Which is quite straightforward. There are quite a lot of guided practice for them to do. After that, perhaps, if they need more practice, you can get them to do a few or more of these questions. Give an example where they are supposed to convert wait, give me a minute. Yeah, to convert hour minutes into minutes, and then minutes into hour and minutes, right? So one of each practice. Okay, the rest is a lot of repetition. Then go to page 15, right, for a word problem kind of a question. Okay, so I would suggest maybe only do 1 question because the rest are repetitive. You might want to do 7A or B. Okay, and then converting 8A, converting minutes into hours and minutes. Okay, for homework, you can just assign maybe the last 4 to 5 pages, like last 5 pages of each worksheet. I think that should be more than enough to give them the sufficient practice. All right, so that's it for this week's topic. Keep it simple. Again, remember, rest of the time, let them do their corrections, or you may actually do the word problem question that you did not manage to finish with them last week. That's it.